Are you looking for the best matcha tea? You've come to the right place. Over the past few years, we've been meeting with tea farmers around Japan, sampling green tea, and searching for the very best matcha tea. In this video, we're going to be showing you how we pick the best matcha tea, what goes into making matcha tea, and finally, we'll reveal our final pick for the best matcha tea overall. Let's get started. So what makes the best matcha tea? While there are a few indicators you can look at to determine the quality of a matcha, the only one that really matters is flavor. A good matcha should be smooth enough to drink plain, and it should produce a nice foam. This foam on top of the matcha is not just for looks. It also gives the matcha a light and airy consistency, so it almost tastes like a latte, even without milk or sugar. The flavor of a good matcha can be fresh and vegetal, but it should never be overly bitter. So how are these matcha teas produced? There are 4 distinct phases in the production process of matcha, and we're going to cover each one of them briefly. First, we have the growing. Producing the best matcha tea starts even before the leaves are picked. First, the farmer will cover the tea plants with a special type of netting for 3 weeks before the harvest. When the tea leaves are exposed to sunlight, they will naturally produce catechins to protect themselves against the UV light. These catechins can produce a bitter flavor in the final tea, so if a farmer wants to produce a smoother or sweeter green tea, he will cut the tea plants off from sunlight. After the 3 weeks are up, it's time to harvest the tea. This gets to the next phase, which is the harvesting. So when it comes to making the best matcha tea, leaf selection is very important. The top leaves of the tea plant will be higher in nutrients and smoother in flavor. These top 3 to 5 leaves are selected and gathered up for the next phase of the production. Next, we have the processing of the matcha tea. Once the leaves are picked, they will need to be processed. The leaves need to be steamed in order to deactivate the enzymes that cause oxidation. If the leaves are not heated almost immediately after harvest, they will eventually turn into a black tea. What makes matcha unique is that it also has its stems removed. These stems will detract from the sweet and savory flavor of the tea, so if a farmer wants to produce the best matcha tea, the leaves need to be separated. After the stems are removed from the leaves, they are referred to as tencha, and they are one step away from becoming matcha. The leaves now need to be ground into a fine powder in a large stone mill. It takes this mill a whole hour just to produce 50 grams of the best matcha tea. So next time you sip a cup of matcha tea, you'll appreciate it more now that you know all the work that goes into making it. But how do we find the best matcha tea? Over the past few years, we've met with dozens of farmers and sampled hundreds of different matcha teas. We've ultimately selected a small handful of our favorites, which you can find in our ceremonial matcha collection. When it comes to our pick for the best matcha tea, we also take into consideration customer feedback. So many customers write to us saying that they've loved the matcha teas, and the one that we've received the most positive feedback for is our top pick. But before we get into that, it's important to go through a list of our honorable mentions. Depending on what flavor profile you're looking for, you might actually prefer some of these to the top pick. First, we have the Noike matcha. If you're new to matcha and looking for the best matcha tea to start with, you may want to go for the Noike. While most premium matcha can cost upwards of $1 per gram, this one offers a similar, smooth and satisfying flavor for a fraction of the price. It's made by the talented farmer Mr. Noike, who owns a small tea farm outside of Kyoto. The surrounding pinewood forest creates a natural shading for the tea plants, giving his teas a smoother flavor. The tea is also made from the Okumidori cultivar, which is known for its lack of bitterness. Next, we have the Chanoka Silver matcha from Uji. Uji tea has become famous all around the world. It's currently the most well-renowned regions for matcha cultivation, and after trying quite a few different kinds, the Chanoka Silver is our pick for the best matcha tea from Uji. This matcha has a rich, velvety texture and a smooth flavor. The tea is made from the Asahi cultivar, which is known for producing a great texture. What if you're looking for a strong, savory flavor in your matcha? If you want this strong, savory, or umami flavor in a matcha tea, you will want to go for the matcha koyai. This tea is made from the rare Goko cultivar, which is sought after by tea lovers for its bold umami flavor. This tea is truly unique, and if you're interested in trying something a bit different, give this one a look. What about the best matcha tea from Shizuoka? So Shizuoka is the largest tea growing region in Japan, but it sometimes gets a bad rap for producing less than stellar matcha teas. We have found some fantastic matcha teas being produced by smaller tea farmers around Shizuoka, and the Osada Okumidori is one of the best. Like a lot of other teas on this list, the Osada is made from the super smooth Okumidori cultivar. What about the best matcha tea value? If you're looking to get the most bang for your buck, the Masuda-en Makinohara matcha is the best matcha tea. This tea is produced by the talented Mr. Masuda, and it has a very light flavor with a subtle sweetness. It tastes as good as matcha teas that are many times the price, and for that reason, it's a very good value. In the next section, we'll show you the best matcha tea overall. So when it comes to drinking matcha plain, the Matcha Washimine from Kyoto is the best matcha tea. This is an incredibly smooth matcha produced by the Nakai family. Because the matcha comes from the Okumidori cultivar, it's naturally smooth, meaning that you can drink it plain and not get any bitterness. When you drink this matcha, it almost tastes like a glass of milk. It has just enough of this vegetal flavor to keep it interesting, but overall it's very round and full-bodied. If you're looking for a great matcha to try, but you're trying to avoid these stronger, more bitter flavors, the Washamina is a great choice. So while the main focus of this is to find the best matcha for drinking plain, a lot of people also ask us about the best matcha to use in lattes. When you're mixing milk and sugar into your matcha, you actually don't want the flavor to be super smooth because it will be overshadowed by the milk. You also don't want a matcha that's so expensive because you'll be using a lot of powder in your daily lattes. This is where the latte grade matcha comes in, and it's the best matcha tea if you're a fan of lattes. After trying dozens of different kinds, we have finally found a great latte matcha from Mr. Masuda. This matcha is from the Yabukita cultivar, which gives it a strong flavor that can shine through the milk. This tea is also grown without the use of pesticides or chemicals, which is especially important when it comes to matcha because you're consuming the entire leaf, rather than just an extraction. It's great to save money on matcha, but you shouldn't compromise when it comes to things like this. Thank you all so much for watching this guide on the best matcha tea. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions about matcha or green tea in general, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you next time.